Hello, it's Pete again, back to review another film. This time I'm going to be doing a review of Zootropolis, which has just been released. It's a very, very interesting movie, and I just want to take a couple minutes to talk to you about it. A few years ago, Disney started to sort of be on a bit of a roll, going all the way back to sort of Princess and the Frog and films like that. Starting with that, and then since obviously we've had Wreck-It Ralph, we've had other films like Frozen, Tangled, they've really been hitting the stride with a really long string of strong Disney movies, Big Hero 6 being another one. You can see behind me on the shelf, you'll notice I have a lot of them on Blu-ray, and I'm a big animation fan. You can see there's Pixar postcards in the corner too, so I really love animation. I'm a fan, I am a practitioner of animation as well. I do stop motion animation, I do a bit of computer animation. I've been into animation for a very long time. So it's something I'm always interested to see. I always check out the latest releases, especially when Disney and Pixar are involved, whatever I can really. And Zootropolis is a really interesting one to go into because over the last couple of years or so, in fact more than that really, but we have seen, especially in the last few years, this kind of two essentially kinds of animated movies that are emerging now. The first kind is sort of more like the Minions, Despicable Me, Ice Age type movie where it's really just for children, young kids. There's not really a great deal of important themes or ideas being explored there. It's just fun for kids, and adults sort of come along to it, but also almost like sleeping through it essentially. There's nothing wrong with those kind of movies. I enjoy them a lot. But the other kind that seems to be emerging is more like the Lego movie we had recently, and Inside Out, where you watch these films and you realise that they're not just for kids. They are for kids, but they've got deeper themes and ideas going on in there, and that's really what interests me about animation. I'm a great lover and enthusiast of it, and while I enjoy the silly side of it, I love it when there can be something more concrete and more interesting going on there. And Zootropolis is definitely one of those. Quite surprisingly so. I was surprised how much content there was here and how much subtext there was going on. Disney usually, when I think about it, don't usually have a lot of social commentary in their movies. That's usually missing from the majority of the back catalogue, which makes this particular film, Zootropolis, very, very... It could be like the most important film Disney have done for quite a while, because it is going into a lot of social commentary, much more than the trailer showed, much more than I ever expected. This is a film that deals with racial tensions between people. It deals with stereotypes. It deals with all kinds of prejudices that people have. And to summarise it up, to start off with, it begins in a very fun, silly way, which had me laughing straight away, but it also immediately sets you in the tone for this movie, where there's actually some good social commentary going on. And it's not just a case of it being rammed down your throat either. It's sort of, it's very organic to the film. Younger kids will maybe not get it, but it does have a good message for both adults and kids in here. And really, it's all about the idea that this is set in a world where there's animals have evolved to be more civilized, but originally, back in the day, there were essentially two big types of animal. There's the predators and there's the prey. And you start with the beginning. It starts with the Judy Hopps, who's the main character of this movie. Immediately, she's this bunny who you see as a kid, and she has this dream of being a police officer, which in that world is still seen as a bit of a silly idea because she's classed as prey, and prey are usually not able to do those kind of roles. That's more sort of a predator job. So she is the first bunny who's ever wanted to be a police officer, and it starts with that, the Disney cliche by now of following your dream. She has this dream of being a police officer, and her parents kind of say to her, I don't think you can do it. So you start getting on her side straight away. She's very likable, very lovable, as a lot of these Disney heroes or heroines tend to be. And then it's following her story of becoming this police officer, going to Zootropolis, which is this place where she's heard is this amazing place where animals can be whatever they want to be. But when she gets there, she realises it's not as simple as that, and actually the dream of it is actually not what she was promised. And this is where it starts to become more interesting, because you're getting still some similar Disney themes coming through, but a lot more interesting things again about how people are still prejudiced, people still have racial issues, people still within this world, even though predators and prey are sort of living in harmony, there's still tensions there. There's still aspects where people haven't totally embraced either. And the other character who comes into play very quick after Judy Hopps is the fox played by Nicholas Wilde. Of course, he's classed as a predator, and he's stereotypically seen as a sly fox who kind of you can't really trust. And again, initially, when you first meet him, he does live up to this stereotype. And when you get into the film, you realise there's a lot of depth here in that he's portraying a stereotype that has been forced on him because he feels he can't be anything else other than this fox. So the two characters have a lot of depth to them. The story, as it goes, is essentially a detective story following Judy Hopps around as she's trying to make her mark, because people still don't take her seriously as a police officer, even though she is now a police officer. Trying to track down these lost animals. So it's a sort of detective story of sorts. Very well paced, very, very well done. And it's got some very funny bits in it that have been laughing a lot. There's one particular part which I don't want to say what it is because I don't like being one of these people who tell specific bits that are really funny, because then you're going to watch it and maybe be disappointed. But one particular scene that was homaging something that's very close to my heart, a film of mine that I really love, I found it extremely hilarious and funny. And I've also got a soft spot for cuddly animals and things like that. But the world building here is really interesting too. It's not just a simple, straightforward film. There's 14 different districts that are all Zootropolis is made up of. There's a tundra district, there's a rainforest part, and you only got to see very few of them, which makes me think there is potential here for seeing more and exploring more. But you really got the feeling this wasn't just cute, cuddly animals on screen. There was a very good idea behind it, and the kind of world building and character play that was going on here, along with the story, is exactly what I sort of wanted from Batman v Superman. It's doing all these things at once, and it's showing that you can do it in a very coherent way, and it was quite breathtaking how well it was done. I don't want to go into any more spoilers really, but I can say in all honesty it was an almost perfect Disney film for me. I mean, I expected it to be good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, if I'm honest. A lot of people were sort of cynical I spoke to about this. The recent trailer got people interested, but the original trailer about a year ago, I was talking to were like, oh, Zootropolis, it doesn't really sound great. It sounds like it might be kind of a lame idea and a lame movie. But when you get into the actual nitty gritty of it, it was an extremely well done movie and it surpassed my expectations. I was personally looking forward to it. I thought it would be good because, as I said, Disney's on a hot streak right now, and it didn't look like this was going to break the trend. But I will say it was a heck of a lot better than I really thought it would be. And it is right up there with my very favourite Disney films now, there, in a very different way to Big Hero 6 or Frozen or Tangled. Just because normally you don't get Disney films that go into the social commentary like this does. Like, normally Disney films are very much interesting because of their fairy tale nature, and they're set very much outside of what's going on in the real world. This one is very much analogous to today's technology, and today's way of thinking, and ideas that are going on, and tensions that are occurring today, and people's attitudes that they have. I mean, it's essentially a film about equality as well, and that is at the heart of it, and that is still done in a very interesting way here. It's not as simple and straightforward as you think. The Judy Hopps character does have some flaws too, and she does have some, assumptions that she makes, like we all do of certain people, and it sort of underlines the fact that we all have a bit of learning to do in that way, and that's a great message for kids, and it's also still a great message for adults. There's plenty of adults who still don't really do what this movie is sort of suggesting is a good idea, and I think is certainly a good idea. So with that said, I'm going to give Zootopia a 10. It's really surprising. It's the first 10 I've given out of the year, and I don't feel that 10s necessarily mean for me it's a perfect movie. If I give something a 10 out of 10, it doesn't mean it's perfect, because no film is actually perfect. Each film is going to have little flaws, little problems with it. Someone will watch it. I mean, any film that you watch and think is a 10 out of 10, you can immediately tell there will be someone else somewhere who came out of it and thought it was a 1 out of 10. So a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean it's perfect, but that doesn't mean that I don't think it's warranted if a film does everything that I can conceivably think of as being good. If it has a good script, which this one does, a great story, good characters, interesting themes, it feels like they've really put a lot of thought into it. The pacing's good, I never got bored, I found it very, very funny, I found it very touching. There was nothing really about it that I could put as a negative. So I give it a 10. If I come out of a movie and I'm like, you know what, there was no issues with that in my mind, it's a 10. Now, will it be a 10 for you? Probably not. Maybe an 8, maybe a 7. But for me personally, speaking from my gut reaction, it's a 10 out of 10 film, which is completely unexpected. But it's a really, really, really good animated movie. I would advise everyone who's got reservations to chuck them out the door and watch it, because I think majority of people, particularly adults, will be surprised at how much is going on here and how much this film actually has to say. It's a very interesting message, not just for kids but adults as well. So yeah, that's my review of Zootropolis. really, really good. I'll be surprised if there's a better animated film out this year, to be honest. It really has set the bar very, very high. I know we've got Finding Dory coming up in a bit. I've got some reservations about that, which I'll go into in another video, of course, because this is not talking about that film. But yeah, overall, 10 out of 10. I recommend people go and check it out, because hopefully you'll be as pleasantly surprised as I was with it. Right, that's my video review for Zootropolis. So I will see you again soon. Bye!